What is up? Welcome back to the Jeremy Awakens podcast. I am so excited for today's solo show where we are going to dive deep into masculinity, because we are living in a world right now that has programmed women to believe that all men are toxic. And this is one of the biggest problems happening in our society right now, is the divisiveness between men and women. Because in reality, I think we'd all agree that 99% of women actually crave a masculine man. A man who is grounded in his values, in his vision. A man who can provide, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually. A man who is actually a provider, a protector. A man who can actually express his feelings and emotions in a healthy way. A man who is actually prioritizing his mission, who is no longer a slave to quick hits of dopamine and instant gratification. That is a strong masculine man. And that is what society needs more of. But somehow, some way, our society, probably stemming from the feminist movement, has labeled masculinity as toxic. And this has really hurt men in 2025 more than ever. So right now, so many men are lost. So many men are confused because they've been programmed to believe that if they show emotion, if they're passionate, if they do these masculine things, that they're somehow toxic. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we've been told that showing emotion is a sign of weakness. That expressing our feelings is a sign of vulnerability. When in reality, it's actually vulnerability that is the most powerful portal to deep, meaningful connection and intimacy with the feminine. So we've been told, hey, on this side of the spectrum, you're toxic. On this side of the spectrum, you're weak, you're docile. So what are men supposed to do? And so many men, including myself for a lot of my adult life, just learn to numb our emotions. We learn to suppress our emotions. Feeling angry, it's okay. Okay, sweep it under the rug. And in that process of suppressing anger, we also suppress other feelings and emotions like love, like gratitude, like joy. So the purpose of this episode is to really remind men that there's nothing toxic about being a man. We are here to provide and protect, not just financially, but also physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Men are the light. We are the sun. And our responsibility is to expand our vessel so we can receive all of the light. And we don't just receive the light for ourselves. We receive this light so we can pour it into others. So we can shine that light and pour into other vessels. That is the purpose of becoming the most powerful man possible. In order to do that, in order to expand your vessel as a man, the number one most important thing is not being a slave to instant gratification. Delete your fucking dating apps, bro. Please. Stop being a slave to instant gratification. Every time you feel horny or aroused, you don't need to watch porn and bust a nut in a napkin. We need to channel our sexual energy. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. We need to expand our vessel. Okay? Let's just talk about some really scary statistics when it comes to men in America. Okay? Testosterone levels are down 25% compared to men in the 1990s. And a 2020 study from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that men's average testosterone has declined about 1% every year for the last several decades. Think about that. So a man today has far less natural drive, discipline, and vitality than his grandfather did. Think about that. Stat number 2, 1 in 4 men under the age of 30 haven't had sex in the past year. And this is obviously adult men over the age of 18. That is pretty wild. 25% of men from the ages of 18 to 30 have not had sex in the past year. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? It's because so many men are giving their power away to things like dating apps, OnlyFans, porn, and now we have this new revolution of AI models. Literally, dudes are paying to have conversations with fake women. This is so sad. The biggest piece of advice I have for men who might be falling victim to these things is to really check in with yourself, bro. Like, really check in with yourself. I guarantee that you have never masturbated and then as soon as you finish, you feel better about yourself. No, absolutely not. Because what happens in that process is we know that we are giving away our power. We know that we're giving away our masculinity in the form of watching strangers have sex on a screen. What does that do? Obviously, it depletes your energy. It depletes your testosterone. But more importantly, it riddles you with guilt and shame. Because you know that you're better than that. You know that you are wasting so much of your potential by not being able to control your sexual urges. This is one of the most important things to learn as a man. And listen, I'm not perfect, but I've come a long way in the last few years with this. Because I was falling into these traps too. Anytime I was feeling lonely, anytime that I was feeling like I was craving sex, I would just give in to instant gratification. I would download Bumble. And then 6 hours later, I'd delete it because I'm like, what am I doing, bro? I'm not going to meet my future wife on this app. Sexual energy isn't being mastered. It's being drained, suppressed, and avoided. And as men, we need to remember that being able to transmute our sexual energy is one of the most important skills we can learn. Sexual transmutation. What does this mean? It means when you're feeling aroused, when you're feeling that sexual energy, okay? Breathe. Connect to your body. Don't give in to instant gratification. Now, of course, if you're with your partner and you're with someone that you've been intimate with, and you guys have a sacred spiritual connection, absolutely enjoy that intimacy. And it's going to be so much better when you're actually mastering your sexual energy and you have cultivated your chi. So powerful. Speaking of loneliness, 63% of men report feeling lonely on a regular basis. This statistic comes from a Harvard study in 2021. So when a man feels lonely and disconnected, that is when he starts to self-destruct. That is when he chases instant gratification. That is when he starts making very impulsive decisions that are not aligned with his highest self. That's when we start to just be loose with our sexual energy. It's when we start to get disconnected from our purpose and our mission. So as men, we need to find other men to connect with, to be able to build deep, meaningful friendships with, brotherhood. This is so important. There's been moments of my life where I felt so disconnected and so lonely. Like I had a lot of friends, but I didn't feel like I could go really deep with those friends. And this was purely a projection of myself, because one of the things that I've struggled with during my life is a fear of abandonment. This came from things that happened with my older brother. And what I learned in that process is that because I had this fear of abandonment, it prevented me from fully sharing myself with certain people in my life, because I felt like if I showed all of myself and I was vulnerable and I was super open and authentic, that they might leave me, that they might abandon me. So I kind of kept my distance. I would never let anyone get too close to me. And this caused me so much pain when I look back at it, because there's actually so many people in my life that wanted to just hold space for me, and they wanted to be a really good, genuine friend, and I wasn't willing to receive it because I had these different emotional blockages that were preventing me from really going deeper within myself and going deep with others. And that's something else that is really important. Understand that your relationship with yourself is a direct reflection of every single relationship in your life. And so often we are searching outside of ourselves to feel whole and complete. We think that this other person is going to magically complete us. But we need to be able to understand, this is something I've been thinking about a lot actually, is the most powerful vibration that you can live your life from is the vibration of wholeness. Not feeling a need to search externally to fill yourself up internally. Because again, this is another epidemic, especially as someone who lives in Miami Beach, and I'm going out and I'm, seeing how people are moving and operating their life. And so often men are using material things to escape their reality, to give them that quick temporary hit of dopamine, to give them that quick feeling of happiness. But it's so short. It doesn't last long, because when you feel like there's this void internally, you're always going to feel like you need to search for something outside of yourself to be complete. So what can you do about this? Like, honestly, hang out at places where you feel like you're likely to connect with other like-minded, growth-oriented people. Go to, a business networking event, go to a fitness class, the gym. Like, there's so many opportunities to connect with good people, but you need to be willing to be uncomfortable. You need to be willing to get out of your comfort zone, leave your home, and actually connect. You're not going to meet your best friend, your business partner, your soulmate, staying inside your house, staring at a screen and scrolling on social media. You have to get outside. You have to put yourself out there. This is why so many people, not just men, but women as well, are feeling disconnected, because so much of our interaction is happening behind a screen. And you think you actually know this person. No, you don't. You know this version of them that they project out to the outside world. Men now make up over 75% of deaths of despair in the US. Deaths of despair include things like suicide, drug overdose, and alcohol-related deaths. All right, this comes from the Brookings Institute. And again, when a man loses his sense of purpose, he starts self-destructing, quietly or violently. And as men, we need to support each other. We need to understand that everyone is going through their own challenges, their own struggles. And oftentimes we don't share those things. We're not willing to be vulnerable when we are going through a really difficult time. But it's when you have the courage to actually lean into vulnerability where true, deep connection happens. And this is something that I've learned in my personal journey. Like, again, there's so many times where I just would wear this mask of being happy all the time, when in reality, there's times when I was really going through darkness. I was really struggling. And this is funny because I was actually at a Rufus Du Sol concert over the weekend. And my friend asked me, he's like, bro, you're always so happy. He's like, what's the key to being so happy? And I told him, I'm like, listen, bro, I am happy a majority of the time, but I also have gone through a lot of darkness. I've sat with a lot of sadness. I've sat with a lot of anger. I've sat with a lot of pain and discomfort. I've worked through different traumas, emotional wounds, and insecurities. And it's because I was willing to feel and allow myself to process the guilt, the shame, the sadness, the anger, that enabled me to actually experience more joy, more gratitude, more happiness, because life is all about experiencing this wide range of human emotions. You can't experience all of the joy and gratitude if you're not willing to actually experience some of the darker moments. And we all go through them. But it's about transmuting the darkness into the light. That's what this life is about. Understanding that those challenges, those obstacles, those adversities are actually the blueprint for creating massive fulfillment, for creating more happiness, peace, and abundance in your life. We need to be willing to feel this wide range of emotions. And again, it's much easier said than done. But this is why it's so important to have people in your life that you can have these conversations with. It's so important to have these different tools. And a lot of them we teach with our microdosing mastermind. This is the work that I work on with my clients, is understanding, hey, what is the root cause of some of the issues in your life right now? Because we live in a world that labels people as depressed. Hey, take this SSRI. You're feeling sad. When in reality, your depression could be a manifestation of many different things. Poor nutrition, not enough sunlight, not enough nature. You're working a job that you hate. Maybe you haven't healed from a past relationship. There's so many causes of depression. But America in the West, we just hand people a pill and expect it to fix them. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the ironic part about it is that those antidepressants actually cause dysfunction to our gut microbiome, which is where we produce 90% of our serotonin. So the same drugs that are supposed to make you more happy are actually causing dysfunction to the part of your body responsible for producing your happy hormone, which is serotonin. So this is why we do what we do. This is why I am so passionate about this work. And if it's something that you want to dive deeper into and you want me as your coach, you want me as your guide, you want me as your friend on this journey, hit the link in the description and you can book a call with our team. I just opened up 2 spots for the month of May to work with me one-on-one. I rarely ever open up new spots, but so many people have been reaching out and I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. Because I feel so connected to this work, especially working with men, powerful men oftentimes who have created a lot of success and wealth in the material world, but they've done so at the cost of their health, their relationships, and their relationship with themselves. And what I've learned in working with many successful men is that they've neglected a lot of the inner work. They've used their pain as fuel for creating success in the world, which is beautiful, because there's way worse ways that you could deal with suppressed emotions. You could use a bunch of substances, you could cause harm to yourself, cause harm to others, whatever it may be. So I've realized that a lot of men who have created tons of success in their life actually used pain as a fuel. They used a tough childhood as their fuel. But that fuel will eventually run out, because once you have the material things and the material success, you realize that it doesn't solve all your problems. At the end of the day, the thing that does solve all of your problems is cultivating deep, unconditional love for yourself. So I know I'm going off on some random tangents right now, but it's really true. I see this all the time. And again, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is also relevant to women as well. It's just manifests in different ways. It manifests in different ways. And I see this all the time in Miami. It's oftentimes, what I've realized, it's oftentimes the most attractive women who are also the most insecure. And the reason for this is because these women have often attached their entire identity and self-worth to their physical appearance. So what happens on those days when you might have a little breakout on your skin, or where you just don't feel as beautiful? Maybe you're going through a little bloating from your period or something like that. You feel depressed. You feel insecure. You feel empty. And the reason for that is because you've attached all of your self-worth to your physical body. So it all comes down to the inner work. It all comes down to the inner work. Men oftentimes use material things and wealth and women as a numbing agent for their own pain, their own internal challenges. And women oftentimes also use material things and getting external validation from men. I think it's always a red flag when a woman's entire social media feed is basically her seeking attention from men. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong at all with like posting a bikini pic or you looking really sexy a night out with your girls or whatever it may be. Like, there's nothing wrong with those things. But when you attach all of your self-worth to that, and you intrinsically are getting so much of your validation from external sources, from other people commenting, "Oh my God, girl, you look so bad. You're so sexy." And unfortunately, that is a big epidemic happening right now. I see it all the time. It's oftentimes the most insecure women are also the most attractive ones, right? So there's no escaping the inner work. Like, you got to be willing to do it. And again, you can hit the link in the description of the show notes if you want to learn more about doing this work. I'm happy to support you on this journey. So there's an obsession with aesthetics and clout and external validation and the projection that we put on to our society. Like, how we perceived is oftentimes more important than who we actually are. But again, I just want to return back to the importance of connecting to your soul, connecting to your purpose. A great question you can ask yourself is like, hey, what do I love doing? What am I uniquely gifted at? And how can I use some of my challenges that I've overcome in my life to help others overcome similar challenges? This is so important. It's all about, life is all about transmuting your traumas into actually serving others. That's what it's all about. Every single challenge and obstacle that you have gone through in your human experience was designed uniquely for you to overcome that challenge, learn a valuable lesson, and then help others in their journey. So anything you're currently navigating now, whether it's a certain insecurity, a certain illness, whatever it might be, understand that it is happening for you. And I know that sounds really cliche, and sometimes it sounds triggering. Like, what do you mean this sickness is happening for me? What do you mean this breakup is happening for me? I promise you, on the other side of that pain is so much peace, so much purpose. That is where you have the opportunity to really expand your vessel. But you have to be willing to learn the lesson. And again, the question that I love to ask myself when I'm going through a difficult moment in my personal life, in my business, whatever it may be, I always ask myself, why is this happening in my movie? Why is this person showing up in my life at this unique time? Why is this bad event happening to me right now? I deserve so much better. We have to get out of the victim mentality, and we have to understand that there's something bigger happening at play right now. Everything is happening for you. And I guarantee if you look back at your life, you'll be able to connect these dots that seemed so random at the time, but now you're able to look back and be like, oh my God, I understand exactly why I was in that relationship for 2 years, but I didn't have the courage to leave. Or I understand why I got that illness. I understand why I went through that obstacle. It's because it made me a better version of myself. It helped me elevate my consciousness. There's always a reason. And when you can start living your life like that, that is when you'll begin to really elevate yourself in every aspect of life. And again, now let's talk about how to actually implement some of this stuff in your life, okay? Specifically for the men. We're going to finish this episode talking about 5 ways to reclaim your masculine power. Number 1 is win your mornings. Okay? Master the first 60 minutes of your day. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do in that 60 minutes, but it should involve some sort of movement, whether it's stretching, whether it is lifting some weights, whether it's going on a run, whatever it is, like move your body. Okay? It should also involve some sort of stillness. Just taking a few deep breaths. Connecting to gratitude, connecting to your goals, connecting to your mission. Because the way that you start your day is definitely going to determine the way that you finish your day. Winning the day starts with owning your morning. Number 2, train like a warrior. I don't care what anyone says. Like, you need to lift weights as a man. You need to lift heavy shit. Yoga is amazing. Running is amazing. But we are never going to completely optimize our masculinity if we don't lift weights. Lifting heavy shit obviously increases our testosterone level, our levels of growth hormone and other hormones like that, but it also cultivates confidence. Because when you feel stronger, when you love the way that you look physically, you are just going to show up in a more powerful way throughout the day. And it's as simple as that. Okay? It's not about lifting weights to like fucking get external validation from flexing on social media. No, it's coming from actually cultivating the closeness with yourself. And guess what? It's probably going to help you attract a higher level partner. Because what does a woman want? A man who can provide and protect, not just financially, but physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Number 3, master your sexual energy. If you're a masculine man, chances are you think about sex every single day. You feel horny multiple times every single day. You feel aroused randomly too. It might be like 10 a.m. and you might be on a Zoom call with your business and it's like, oh, what the fuck? This is weird. Do not give in to instant gratification. Studies show that frequent porn use dramatically lowers your sex drive, lowers testosterone, it increases levels of depression, and guess why it increases depression? Because you know your highest self would never want to watch strangers having sex on a screen. So naturally, when you do that and you give into that instant gratification, you're going to feel guilt. You're going to feel shame. And those are some of the lowest vibrations that you can live your life from. And those same lower vibrations are causing inflammation on a cellular level. And this is, again, why watching porn, being on OnlyFans, like, delete that shit immediately. Stop giving away your power and masculinity to chasing quick hits of dopamine. By the way, semen retention. You might have heard this being talked about. Semen retention is basically the intentional practice of not releasing your seed. I think this is an amazing exercise. Like, I've done it for probably, I think the longest I've done it is a couple months. And during that time, I felt so powerful, like so potent, because first of all of that sexual energy is getting channeled towards productive things, creative work, workouts, building businesses. I challenge you to go 1 week. If you're listening to this and you're like, holy shit, I jerk off every day, or like I'm just constantly hooking up with random people, go 1 week without releasing your seed. If that is just like ridiculously easy for you, try 1 month. See how it feels to actually master your sexual energy and no longer be a slave to instant gratification. Number 4 is do the inner work. Understand that all unresolved trauma will project into dramatic behavior. Okay? Trauma equals drama. If you're in a relationship right now with someone who's always causing drama, it's likely because they have a lot of unresolved trauma. And until you actually do the inner work to heal, you're always going to be projecting that trauma onto other people in the world. You're constantly going to be in toxic relationships because you haven't taken the time to heal your emotional wounds. This is so important. Every single relationship in your life is a reflection of the relationship with yourself. And again, this is the work that we do. My intention with all the clients I work with is like to really cultivate a strong relationship with yourself. Yes, microdosing helps. Breath work helps. Working out helps. Sleep helps. Journaling helps. Talking about these things helps. Number 5 is align with your purpose. Men with a clear life mission report significantly higher life satisfaction. Your mission is the medicine. Your mission is the medicine. When you are grounded in your purpose, you are going to feel inspired to show up every single day as the best version of yourself, even when you're not feeling great. This is what keeps me going every single day. Is there's mornings where I don't even want to get out of bed. I might be going through some darkness. I might be experiencing some sadness, but I know that my mission is my medicine. Serving others is my medicine. Helping others, inspiring others, empowering others to be the best version of themselves. That is the best antidepressant for me. So please, please, please take some time to align with your purpose and make a positive impact in other people's lives. One of the best things that you can do when you're personally going through a challenge is like uplift someone else. Buy a stranger a free coffee. Like, do a random act of kindness. Go volunteer at a food bank. Take the attention off of yourself. So much of depression is because we're singularly focused on ourselves. It's all ego. Take the attention away from yourself. Try improving the life of someone else. Buy a stranger a coffee. Go volunteer at a food bank. Go help some kids in need. These are the things that will actually get you feeling more connected to a higher purpose. So, if you're a man who's listening to this and you're ready to step into a higher version of yourself, you are tired of giving in to instant gratification, and you're ready to fully unleash your potential, then I invite you to apply for this one-on-one coaching with me. I'm taking on 2 clients. You can hit the link in the description. You won't just have a coach or a guide. Like, I'm here to be your friend. You're going to have my personal number. We're going to meet every week. We'll probably do an in-person meetup in Miami. Like, I'm really here to help you elevate to the next level. And I'm here to remind you also that you weren't born to chase. You were born to build. You were born to protect. You were born to create. You were born to lead. And the world is craving more masculine men. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm so grateful that you made it to the end of the episode. If you did, it would mean the absolute world if you could just leave a review for the show. That is really how we're able to impact more people, is by your word of mouth. Word of mouth is my oxygen. So please, 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 if this resonated, share it with a friend. Leave a review, and remember that you were put here for a reason, and that reason is to step into the highest version of yourself and expand your vessel so you can receive the light and share that light with everyone around you. I love you. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time on the Jeremy Awakens podcast. Much love.